clock strikes midnight, and a whisper slips through the darkness, an unspoken warning echoing in the chill air. Every breath feels heavier, colder, as a voice in the shadows urges silence. Do not speak after midnight if you're listening now. Whatever hour or place you find yourself, tell me below where you are as quietly as you can. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to hear the rest. We'll need your silence soon enough outside. The wind scratches like fingernails against the window pane, tugging at worn curtains. The house holds its breath. You might think it's just a night like any other, but there's a fracture beneath the quiet that bends everything sharp and wrong. Listen closely. A pattern emerges in the pause between your own breaths, longer each time, as if something waits just beyond your skin. The warning first washed over me like a ripple on a frozen lake. Subtle, almost missed. I was alone, or so I thought, wrapped in the half-dark of my old apartment. The air shifted, the temperature dropped sharply, cold enough to trace frost across my exposed arm. But not a sound came, but a whisper, a secret, urgent, slipping out from the edges of the room. Do not speak after midnight. The words didn't belong to any person I knew. They belonged to something else. Your voice is your tether. But every time I remembered those words and opened my mouth, the air thickened. It's like the temperature dropped deeper, clawing inside your lungs, squeezing. Panic spun its tight web. I tried to explain the warning aloud, but the minute my tongue pressed to speak, a shadow lunged close, a presence too swift to see clearly, but unmistakably there, snapping cold breath across my neck. That's the first jump, a breath sharp and sudden, like ice sliding down a spine. I froze, heart galloping, palms slick. The silence pressed in, louder than any sound. It was a warning, or maybe a trap. The voice wasn't just cautioning, it was commanding, and something waited to punish those who ignored it. I lit a candle. The flame wavered violently, like a live thing drowning in its own darkness. The shadows were deeper now, stretching longer, fingers creeping thick and obscene across the peeling wallpaper. The cold had swallowed the room whole, even the flame's frail heat faltering. I felt it then, a pulse, rhythmic, subtle, like a heartbeat matched to my own. Underneath the silence, a tapping began. Slow, deliberate, somewhere inside walls slick with decay, or worse, just behind them. You realize every noise you make is a risk. The creak of a floorboard, breath caught too sharply, each becomes a beacon. Little stabs of sound that pull unseen, eyes closer. Still, the warning echoed. Do not speak. Not even a whisper. Days, though, or maybe hours. It's hard to tell when the mind chokes on fear and cold, passed like this. Sleep, a distant memory. Isolation weighing down like a shroud. And then I found the first sign. Not a shadow, not a whisper. A small thing impossible to ignore. A word scratched into dust on my window frame. Sharp and jagged. 2 letters. SH. Part of the warning. The beginning of silence. My fingers trembled tracing the letters. Breath frosting the glass. The message was no accident, no trick of light. It was deliberate, personal, an extension of whatever haunted this darkened world. After midnight, I tried to write back, just a simple why. But the ink ran black and thick, as if the page itself bled shadows. The cold flared, plunging me into a spiral of silence that squeezed tighter the more I sought answers. The ticking, once steady, now felt irregular, disjointed, like a broken clock losing track of time itself. Midnight shifted closer again, a trap resetting, turning me into its prey between breaths. I found a strange comfort in the silence. Speaking was the danger, but listening was survival. The whisper wasn't just a warning. It was a promise of something waiting for the moment one dared to break it. Don't speak. Not after midnight. If you heard it, then you're a part of this. It's creeping out from corners you thought safe, winding around the edges of your world. You can feel it. Feel the cold tightening. The flashlight flickers, the cool breeze loops through the room like a ghost sigh. Every shadow threatens to stretch and crawl. Right now, I can almost hear it just beyond my walls. The tapping, slow and steady, matching my heart. The promise of silence, or the threat if I speak. The trap tightens if you're still with me. Whisper in the comments the hour where you are now, and the place you're holding your breath from. It matters. A whisper slips again through the cracks of my window. Do not speak, and the night has only just begun. Do not speak after midnight. That simple command clings to me now, like a shadow pressed against my skin, colder than the quiet in this empty room. The air has changed, it weighs heavier, as if words carry a cost I cannot yet grasp. The hallway feels longer than before, stretched thin between each breath I take. My hands tremble, warming and cooling unevenly. One pulse pounding in my neck that refuses to still. Somewhere deep in the plaster and wood, a slow tapping starts, soft at first, then steady, matching a heart that isn't mine. I didn't notice it at first. You don't notice these things until they break you. When I reached the cracked mirror in the dim light of the porch, I swore I saw something behind me, just a flicker, a shade slipping away like spilled ink dissolving to black. Turning fast, because the skin on my neck prickled and screamed for it. There was only the empty hallway, silent and waiting. I told myself the sound was wind, a loose shutter knocking, but the tapping, it's unmistakably deliberate. The floorboards groan under steps that don't echo right, as if someone's tiptoeing beneath the floor. I didn't hear a door close. That's when the world shifted, a whispered syllable, a breath so close to my ear I felt the softness on my cheek. Speak, it said. I froze. I wasn't sure if it was a plea or a threat. A cold wave broke over me. The temperature dropped sharply. My breath became visible, fogging the glass of my phone's screen as I scrolled for the time. The numbers blurred, melting into something unreadable. The clock had passed midnight by nearly 10 minutes, but I was still tethered to the warning. No speaking, no moving words beyond thought. that whisper, it wasn't meant for a moment of peace. I tried to steady my breath, to count the flickers of the dim bulb above, but the light begins to flutter unevenly, shadows folding and unfolding like dark lungs in my vision. And then, just as I think it might burn out entirely, the tapping stops abruptly, making me jump so hard my knees buckled. Silence. Absolute. Terrifying. But then no, not silence. Beneath it, a wet, rasping sound emerged, dragging itself from the corners of the house. It's slow, like nails scratching across the wood inside the walls. I put my ear to the door. It's coming from the basement hatch, the one I swore to never open after sunset. The thought screamed at me to step back. Something in the depths below knows I am here. It knows I've broken the first rule. The tap returned sharp, impatient, this time punctuated by a breath that sucked the warmth from the room. I moved toward the hatch like a thread being pulled too taut, every nerve cracked open and raw. The whisper returned, a breathless hiss curling around my name. There was no way it could know. No voice spoken, no syllable shared, but it did. The basement stairs groaned beneath my feet, darkness pooling beneath the single weak bulb dangling overhead. The tapping grew louder, ragged, urgent each beat, a command threatening to shatter my resolve. The stale air thickened, heavy with the smell of damp stone and something fouler, something ancient that clung to my skin. Then came the cold again, so sudden and sharp it stole my breath. In that frozen moment, I saw them eyes, not shining or reflective, but dark, hollow voids staring from a shallow corner behind the water heater. They didn't blink, did not even seem alive, but they watched. I wanted to speak, to ask, to plead, but my voice was caught, strangled by the warning still ringing in my veins. I took a step back, and the eyes vanished like smoke being sucked into a hole. The tapping stopped, replaced now by a harsher sound, a scraping, as if claws were turned against stone or bone. A sudden crash from above froze me again. A framed photograph fell from the wall in the hall outside, glass shattering into a million silent knives. Heart hammering, I rushed up, half expecting the house to be empty, but the picture was lying face up on the ground. It was a family photo, eyes scratched out, smeared like blackened print. In the center, an inscription: "He who breaks silence pays." My blood ran cold, the room shrinking, air turning brittle. The clocks flickered, the numbers counted down, as though time itself was bleeding away. I couldn't speak to anyone. If I did, I thought, the tapping would turn into purposeful pounding, the eyes would return, and whatever lurked deeper would finally break free. And then, unexpectedly, the phone buzzed. A single message. "You hear it too, don't you?" I dared to look. No contact name, just a gif of flickering candlelight. And behind the flame, a vague shape, whisper thin, twisting like smoke inside someone's grasp. I realized then the warning was not just a rule, it was a prison. Words once spoken after midnight carried a weight beyond life. or death. The house was holding me hostage, counting breaths, tallying steps. And with every whispered hesitation, something waited just beyond my understanding. I am trapped between silence and the sound, the tapping that calls me back, over and over, and the crushing cold that tries to pull me under. The words I want to say dissolve before they form. I feel them breaking inside me, pieces cracking against bone. There's a choice now. Stay silent and watch the time bleed away, or speak and risk everything hidden in the dark waking up and taking the whisper too literally. The bulb above flickers once more, a breath's pause, then plunges the basement into blackness. The darkness doesn't wait. Neither do I do not speak after midnight. Every whispered word feeds the shadow waiting just beyond your walls. The clock's face flickers, 4 to 5 minutes left. You're trapped deeper now, and the air grows brittle, as if all warmth is leaching out of the room inch by inch. Each breath you take feels hollow, unnatural, like pulling cold ash through your throat. The silence is no longer a refuge. It is a trap tightening around your neck. You glance at the mirror across the room. The reflection seems to quiver, fractured. It's subtle, but unmistakable. The glass ripples, distorting your features. A soft tapping begins, low and rhythmic, as if fingers are grazing the window pane's edge. Not quite thunder, not quite rain, something textured and deliberate. Your skin prickles. The sound isn't coming from outside. It's inside. Beneath floorboards, inside the walls, the very frame of the house pulses with it. You press your ear to the cold wood, trying to locate the source. The tapping pauses. The house exhales. Then, just as quickly, it stops. That jarring moment, an empty inhale of silence, is worse than noise. You clutch the warning note, the one you tore from the pages of the old book downstairs. Do not speak after midnight. Simple, but you never asked why. The final rule, now tumbling in your mind like loose stones. If you break the silence, they come for you. But what if silence isn't enough? What if not speaking merely invites something else? The shadows cast by your dim lamp sway oddly. One length stretches longer, touching the jacquard wallpaper like a clawed finger. It twists unnaturally, folding into the corner. You blink. When you open your eyes, the shadow has cracked into a shape resembling a crouching figure, hulking, skinless, fingers peeling like bark. It doesn't move like light, it moves like weight shifting against the grain of space. You lean forward, heart hammering. It's gone. The light wavers, and that sharp, sucking cold presses harder against your cheeks, like the breath of something hungry. Time tightens. 30 minutes. The clock's steady tick sounds distant now, as if filtered through deep water. Your throat is raw, dry, but you dare not swallow for fear of drawing attention. The air grows heavier still, not just colder, thickened, as if invisible fingers are knitting a dense wool around your chest. A sudden creak alerts you, loud and breaking like a snapped bone. You whirl toward the staircase. The wooden steps dip, as though someone or something has just passed, pressing down the wood. Yet no footsteps echo. They're trying to mimic the world you know, but never fully become tangible. You shudder. This presence is learning, studying the rules, waiting for your error. You try to stretch your fingers, then clench them into fists, measuring the fine vibrations in your skin. A shift occurs behind you. Your hair rises involuntarily. You don't dare turn, but the old warning screams in your mind. It's no longer about avoiding speech. It's about control. Control over fear. Under your breath, you recite a mantra you found hidden inside the book's margins. A phrase scratched in trembling ink. Quiet keeps the watcher blind. The words do little to settle your racing heart, but repeating them stitches a fragile calm beneath your skin. Outside, the wind rattles the loose window frame. The room's dim light flickers violently and then steadies. That trembling is no longer the delicate dance of faulty electricity. It's deliberate, ritualistic, as if the bulbs themselves resent the darkness imposing on them. You realize the temperature is no longer just cold, it's corrosive. Your fingertips sting. An unseen frost edges closer to your bones, like it's crawling over the surfaces, inching inward, testing your endurance. You press your palms to your thighs, a futile attempt to reclaim warmth. The chill is merciless. The tapping resumes, quicker, uneven, erratic, almost desperate, frantic to warn you. It is not an invitation, but a countdown. You glance again at the mirror, compelled by a terror you don't name. The fractured reflection has shifted, revealing something you missed before. Eyes, crowded near the edges of the glass, staring in with hollow, soundless despair. They blink when you blink. They watch. They wait. Something tries to slip forward, stretching fingers through the surface. But the glass ripples again and swallows the shape. Hola noise bursts behind you. A whispered crack, then a dry, low chuckle that curls cold fingers down your spine. You whirl, heart thunderous, and see nothing but the wavering room, ceiling shadows twitching like disturbed cobwebs. Then cold, sharp, and unexpected, a door slams below, jarring the house's bones. The sound hollows through the stillness like a gunshot in a tomb. Your breath catches in your throat. The tapping ceases immediately, as if your unwelcome noise stole its purpose, leaving an oppressive, waiting quiet in its wake. Your skin crawls. The silence breaks again, this time with a crackling beneath the floorboards. Soft footsteps pacing slowly forward. The threat is no longer elsewhere, it's inside, drawing closer with each hollow beat. You want to scream, to run, to break every rule you've read. But the weight pressing on your ribs is a cage. You bend to retrieve the candle stub on the table. The flickering flame, your only defiant heartbeat against the dark. As the flame wavers closer to the mirror, the eyes reappear, this time clearer, filled with unspoken warning, sorrow, and madness. They flit from corner to corner, like moths trapped in the glass. You grasp the note again, the final stanza etched in desperate, trembling script gnaws at your mind. Speak not the word, or lose your soul to the watcher in the hush. The floorboard creaks beneath your foot, slow, deliberate a pause. Then the distinct scrape of nails, trying to catch, grip, reach. You freeze, every nerve screaming. The candle sputters violently, gasping for air, shadows writhing around the room like spilled ink. The overhead bulb flickers in jagged pulses, each flash revealing the half-formed figure against the far wall lean, dissolved like smoke, but with eyes that burn white-hot with cold fire. You must decide, stay silent and wait, or break the silence and face what comes. The minutes bleed down. 20 remain. Now the cold whispers your name. Do not speak after midnight. The silence becomes a living thing then, swallowing every breath, every heartbeat, until all that's left is the threat you cannot see. There's no pause now. The weight in the room has grown unbearable, thick and viscous, like cold resin trapping everything beneath it. Your skin prickles, but something worse crawls beneath the surface. The temperature sinks suddenly, plummeting through your chest. The breath you exhale turns misty, swirling around you like whispered warnings slipping from unseen mouths. You know you crossed the line. The final hour is here. You should have stopped, but you didn't. The door behind you grows impossibly still, no longer asserting its presence with creaks or the usual settling groan of aging wood. It's as if it's watching, listening. You eye the hallway beyond. No light, no shape moves, no sound at all. Yet, from the corner of your eye, a flicker, a figure, perhaps, too fast to confirm, gone before you even blink. The tapping you heard before returned, soft, uneven, this time at the far end of the hall, a deliberate rhythm like footsteps. Your pulse accelerates. You hold your breath, every small sound amplified against the thick quiet. Something is approaching. Your throat tightens. The rules echoed relentlessly in your mind. Don't speak, don't look, don't respond. But the tapping morphs suddenly into knocks, louder. Each knock a demand, urgent, impatient. Then a low, guttural rasp rolls through the shadows, barely audible, but unmistakable. It calls your name. You freeze. The air ripples around you, bending in slow waves. The once dim light struggles, flickering erratic shadows against the walls. They twist and stretch into grotesque forms, mocking human shapes, but far too long, too thin. An unseen breath brushes your ear, soft, wet, desperate. And then a sudden sharp cracking noise behind you. You whip around just in time to catch the silhouette of a figure crashing through the doorway, limbs jerking unnaturally, face hidden deep in shadow. It lunges. You stumble, barely catching yourself as the room fills with a stifling scent, damp earth, decayed wood, something rancid beneath it all. A shadow presses close, almost suffocating, hot against your neck, though the air remains frigid. Your heart pounds thrice, and the tapping explodes into chaotic hammering all around you. Inside your skull, a scream builds in your chest, but then silence you, force your eyes open. The figure recedes into darkness, dissolving like smoke, and in the eerie stillness that follows, a harsh truth settles over you. This isn't something you can outrun anymore. The warnings were not just to protect you, they are bindings, shackles designed to keep this at bay. You spoke after midnight. Twice. It remembers you now, hunts you relentlessly. You are marked. There is a sound behind you. A faint, muffled whisper, the edges of words curling like smoke. Stay quiet. You nod, knowing that defiance will cost more than you can pay. The clock ticks, minutes left before dawn. But somehow the time feels infinite, stretching and folding in on itself, a loop tightening its noose. You must hold the silence, or lose everything. A shiver runs down your spine, a cold, alien pulse traveling deeper than the skin. As the tapping resumes, slower now, measured, deliberate, it counts off your remaining seconds. You try to focus on breath, on the faint pulse of warmth beneath your ribs, but the shadow's presence seeps into your bones. The walls themselves seem to contract, narrowing the space until every breath is a battle against invisible pressure. Your hands tremble. The key to escape feels just out of reach, the promise whispered in old tales and cracked warnings. But then, a sudden instinct flares. You close your eyes and summon the memory of the first warning you ignored, the voice in your ear, the echoed command to stop speaking. Your own breath becomes the weapon, slow, rhythmic, controlled. Each inhale draws strength. Each exhale empties fear. The cold retreats in fragile waves for a moment. The chaos halts. The shadow hesitates. The tapping slows, sinking to your heartbeat. You glimpse just a flicker, a figure standing at the edge of the room. It's distorted, like a reflection in broken glass, but not quite malevolent. More desperate, but mercy will come with proximity. You dare not move, your eyes fly open. The figure steps forward, revealed in the fragmented light. Its eyes burn not red, but hollow voids, infinite wells of silence. It holds out a hand, trembling, as if begging. You realize this. This is the other you, the one who obeyed the silence, the one who survived. The shadow splits, dissolves, refracts into 1,000 whispers, circling your skin like a cold breeze. The hand lingers for a heartbeat longer, then vanishes with regret. The temperature sways again, this time rising, a heat that tastes of ash and dawn. The pressure lifts, the walls stretch, breath returns to shape. The relentless tapping retreats to a faint drip of time, falling minutes now or seconds. But you are not untouched. A fracture has opened inside you, a scar where silence died. The final act begins as the first light bleeds through cracks in the boarded window. Your eyes lock on the clock. 1 minute left. One choice. Speak or stay silent until the dawn. Speak, and the horror will claim your voice forever, dragging you back into the dark. Silence, and the world may never hear you again. Your mouth opens, a sound escapes you, but it is no longer your voice. It's a whisper from somewhere else, ancient and hollow, curling into the cold air like smoke. The shadow stirs once more, but it does not come closer. You smile, fragile, knowing the cost. You have survived, but a part of you will never speak again. Outside, the world awakens, bright and unaware dot inside. The silence waits patiently for the next hour after midnight.